joined by my guest, who is a man with many dynamics. Among other things, he is a stalwart of the ruling All Progressive Congress, an entrepreneur and the CEO of the Ben Akak Foundation. Engineer Ben Akak, Your Excellency, it's such a delight to speak with you.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. Well, there are a number of issues we will touch on as we progress with this interview, but let's even begin with the Nigerian youth. Without doubt, Nigeria is one of the greatest countries in the world. We have the brilliant doctors, we have very wonderful scientists and computer experts, and even business tycoons like yourself. But then, how come it does appear that we are gradually almost overwhelmed by our challenges?
Well, the Nigerian youth growing up is faced with a lot of challenges. And these challenges, although they are there in other countries, but very practically in Nigerian cases, a little bit more difficult because it has to do with more of a leadership. And when you have a leadership that, with all due respect, doesn't really give the youth an opportunity to come up, they don't believe in the potentials of the youth, and so you have to swim against the tide. So that's why it's always been like that. That's why we're facing what we're facing today. I mean, you can imagine America being one of the greatest economies in the 90s, entrusted the responsibility of such a huge country into a young person of 34 years. President Kennedy was 34 years when he assumed the position of
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, John F. Kennedy. So you see, it will be difficult for that to happen in Nigeria. It's because they don't believe in it, and that's why we have the crisis.
But in the time past, we have produced some very young leaders. One was in his youthful age when he was a Nigerian leader. We have some very youthful leaders in the time past. What played out? What changed between that era and what we have now?
You know, we came out from independence. Coming from independence. The British did maybe a semi-good foundation, maybe not. In terms of the military, we had one of the best military in Africa. So they laid a very good foundation. But aside that, looking at politics, looking at governance, how many of such can you say? How old was General Gowon? He was in his 20s when he became the head of state. That was because he was in the military. But aside the military, in the contemporary political system, you have the same, and you can see it. And again, it's because one, they don't believe in the young people. They need to believe in it. They need to begin to give them responsibility, and don't really have to criticize them when they fail. It is a learning process, and when they learn, allow them to learn in the job and grow, and that will give us a very enduring democracy and a wonderful economy, because the energy of the youth is very important in building the nation. So that's what I think is really what is lacking in accepting with other countries of the world.
In your opinion, Your Excellency, is there a disconnect between our political leaders and the ones that have been tapped, always start with the leaders of tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a connect, because like I said, they don't even believe in the leaders of tomorrow. You know, they say youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but the foundation whereby you could give them leadership is not there. Check all the political parties. At some point in the PDP, the man that was in charge of the youth was, a 55 years old, 55, 56 years old man. He doesn't believe in what we are talking when we talk about the young people. But he's put there because he represents a group, he represents a system, he represents an interest. And so it is not just saying youths are the leaders of tomorrow. Do you believe they are the leaders of tomorrow? If you believe, what are you doing to ensure that they are actually leaders of tomorrow? And until we get to that point, we'll be fooling ourselves.
All right. You have a lot of experience working with young people,
Yes.
with such level of governance, and maybe bad governance, if I may say. Do the youth still have a future?
Wonderful, we do. I mean, you know, whenever I reminisce over the NSAS protest, and I feel that our leaders could only listen. You know, the more they keep saying, give us a space, and you're not giving them a space, the more they will become more violent. When anything that has to do with the youth, don't let the elders get involved. Yes, let them bring in their experience, let them advise, but let the young persons who know themselves talk to themselves. They will know how to quench the fire. They will know how to bring things together. They will know how to build, because they know they don't have any other country than Nigeria. And that is why I am always saying this, and I will say this. The 2023 discourse should be about the world. Because countries are advancing. We cannot run. We cannot be running after them. We should be at par with them. Recently, I saw the Vice President driving an electric car, and I was impressed. And I'm saying that when he was driving, the thing that was coming through my mind was, what a wonderful innovation. But how are young person getting involved? Look at them, Mike Zuckerberg. Look at the other billionaires in the world. They are in their 30s, their 40s. But a billionaire in his 40s in Nigeria, he will tell you stories that are beyond reach. So that's why I think, beyond just rhetoric, beyond just talk, the youth must occupy the center stage as it comes to
what, in your opinion, do you think should be the structures that should be put in place, or the systems that we need to correct moving forward to give young people, young Nigerians, an enabling environment to thrive, especially as regards leadership and politics in this country, with 2023 just around the corner?
I think first, we need to have a system of mentorship that is more, not only democratic, but it's also cultural, it's also tradition. That the way it is seen that the young people feel that our elders, our fathers, do not have their interests at heart. So that alone, that perception doesn't allow for cooperation, doesn't allow for ideas to be passed on. Because you could imagine if a young person now approaches an elder in the community on the issue of trying to restructure a particular issue in the community, or trying to put in place issues that will uplift its future. And then the man, even with the brightest of ideas, doesn't see him as contributing, but sees him as a threat. So, the foundation, I feel, should be first. The structure, I feel, should be first. That is, let our institutions be built in such a way that it encourages the young people to not only participate, but giving opportunity to have a say. Not having to be radical, to be aggressive, to try to do things that will bring down the system before you listen to it. So the structure, even from the local government, from the people at the ward level to other levels, from the grassroots to other levels, should be such that the young people are given opportunity to have a say. When they have a say, then they know they are part of the structure.
All right. Just you give us a very short message for the young people, very shortly. But I'm also tempted to ask: is there a battle between people like you who try to engage youths positively and those who do not even believe in the youth?
Yeah, there is, because once you are telling them the future, another person is telling them no. That is not the point. It's another person is giving them another opinion. And so they find themselves between the devil, so to speak, and the deep sea. And then we are looking at, look, this is our contemporary. We can trust him. Oh, but the others are saying, no. He's your contemporary, but he doesn't have the capacity. And then when we talk about capacity, how do you distinguish capacity or capability? It has to do with the fact that you have watched somebody's antecedent and you've seen that the person is able to reproduce and is able to manage his own generation. When a young person can manage his generation, he has the capacity. It is not that, in leadership evolves around training. At every point in time, you must continue to learn. You must continue to make up your mind that you're going to learn, you're going to acquire knowledge, you're going to build capacity. So it's not a one-off. So when this issue of does he have capacity, does he have capability to use to keep the youth where they are comes up. It is our elders who should, or our leaders who should rise up and say, no, 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 no. We started this way. We build up, we learn in the job. They can also do that. And we have the whole information.
We need you to talk to us from your perspective, because the NSAS protest has come and gone, but very recently, Democracy Day, we saw pockets of protests, the use of the show of force by the Nigerian police and military and all of that. Some youths were even arrested. How has this played out, this move, this body language, how has it played out on the average Nigerian youth at the moment?
Very bad. It's a very bad signal. The message is out there is not too good, because when you have a child and the child is shouting, stop it. He's telling you that, look, Daddy, this is where things are difficult with me. This is where I'm having the pains, and you are saying, no, 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 keep quiet, endure the pain. You're simply telling him that he's not what to live, and that child, by instinct, will learn to survive. And these things have been there. These things have not been properly addressed. You can have one or two interventions, but that doesn't address the main core of the matter. When the moment we begin to saddle young people with leadership and responsibility, then what are they protesting for? What are they going to destroy for? Because they will be destroying themselves. So for me, the way the whole thing was managed, the way the process was put together wasn't the right. I believe that people should have a say. Although it has to be organized, it has to be devoid of violence, it must be peaceful. But at any point it veers off the line, we should be able to call them to order. Please give them leadership. Give them responsibility.
Yes,
and they will lead this way.
Just before we stray away from the Nigerian youth, what's your advice to the youth themselves?
Well, I think they should believe in the country, believe in Nigeria. There's no place like home. You know, no matter what we say, Nigeria is a beautiful country. It's a place that I think is one of the best creation of God. And so they should believe in the country. They should also believe in the leadership, for whatever it takes. God needs leaders. So believe in the leadership, believe in themselves, above all. Believe in themselves. And destruction is not the way out of it. No, you can't get, correct the thing by doing the same thing. No. You're not going to get it. The best way out of it is to show to the leaders that, look, we are organized, we are sincere, and we want to make positive contribution. If we do this, I think all these issues will be things of the past. And again, Nigeria will be credited.
All right, we definitely hope so. Talking about the era of protest and all of that, there have been tensions, there have been agitations and demonstrations in many parts of the country. The Southeast has been boiling for quite some time now. They are clamoring for Biafra Republic. In the Southwest, they're also clamoring for Odua Republic, Odua Nation, or Yoruba Nation. Why are we having all of this at this point in time?
I think lack of leadership and engagement. When somebody begins to ventilate issues, you need to understand where it's coming from. You need to engage them. If you engage them and engage them properly, and show them that, give them sense of belonging, they will understand within the context of being part of the process. If I am alienated from the process, I will look for a way to let you know that I exist. So what you are having, those pockets of agitations and whatever you might look at it, boils down to the fact that they are not part of the process. And again, they are also trying to send a signal that we are not part of the process. The next process we want to be part of. So if you look at it in that context, and you are able as a leader to understand the dynamics of humanity and put this in context and try to talk to them as a father, then you will see that those issues agitation will naturally decline. And above all, the poverty rate is so high. Of course, you know we're coming from a recession, we're coming from COVID-19, so the economy has shrunk to a certain extent. Recently, thank God that our budget was, benchmark was $40 per barrel. That's the benchmark. But we are talking about $70 as we speak. But my concern, which is it forms part of what you are, is going forward. What do we do with this the bankers? You're not saving for them, because you're not saving for the future. They are the future leader. You're not saving for them. When they get to the future, they will ask for that saving.
Okay, we have been borrowing very recent information.
Huge. Huge. And for me, it's not that borrowing is bad. I mean, it's not that borrowing for. What are you borrowing for? You can't borrow to pay something. And when you do that, you set the wrong foundation. You know, you see, an economy that is predominantly based on economy that is predominantly based on that has little impact on capital expenditure. It's an economy that can be good. We must look at ourselves, look to our face and say the truth to ourselves.
All right, Your Excellency, just hold your thoughts. We'll be back in just a moment as we shift our focus and indeed delve into the issues of economy and Nigeria's agricultural sector. This is Firecrackers. We're back in just a moment. Stay with us. To leave that right about now, but I'm not sure I can leave that without asking a question still related to security. Very recently, the governor asked his people to defend themselves. It has generated a lot of reactions and all of that. How did we get here? A governor who had promised and pledged to do that will now get to the point where he's asking residents of the states to defend themselves. And we've heard this time and time again from leaders.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing I said. The communication, the command system is too long. It has to be broken down. Issues of state should be handled by the states. Yes, there are things that are national, that the national police can get involved. If you see him act that way, let's be frank, let's be fair to ourselves, it's out of frustration. Because his first responsibility is to protect his people. And being that he probably should have or must have tried to get through the process and without necessarily having to have access, out of frustration and the cry of his people, you see them make those statements. But apart from that, I think at some point there needs to be some dialogue. There needs to be some discussion between the chief executives of the state with the presidency on mutual security cooperation. I propose that every month there should be some kind of security discussion. And again, with due respect, our security architecture, I think, is archaic, is old-fashioned. The world has moved beyond this show of force. We're talking about digital security services. We're talking about digital communication. We're talking about first being proactive. We won't wait until there is a crisis before we react. And that's why we are always having this issue. Because before you react, we already have casualties. But you see, like what is obtainable in America and other developing worlds, or even Singapore and the rest. Look at the crime rate in Singapore. Look at the crime rate in Malaysia. Look at the crime rate even in Dubai. You see that they're thinking the next 50 years while we're still thinking immediate. So I think our security architecture needs to be restructured, revamped for the present day reality.
Right, just as we begin to wind down on our conversation tonight, let's talk business for a moment. How would you even describe the business environment here? I mean, you're a businessman, you have a very huge level of success in that area, but how would you describe this environment?
Very turbulent and very volatile. You need to weather the storm. You need to develop a thick skin. You need to love the people. You need to love what you are doing. You need to believe in what you are doing. You need to understand that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And you need to understand that going forward, you can build something out of nothing. And you need to be very creative. So the environment will not give you an easy landing. They can't give you an easy step. It gives you there's a lot of potholes, so you need to navigate your way. You need to believe in something supernatural other than the economy to be able to have access to wealth and to be able to have access to funds and to be able to develop.
So in that regard, what should the government be doing differently to create these environments for businesses to thrive? I mean, I jokingly saw, we had a communication on our way here, especially here in Crossriver, for instance. You know, businesses get to start up 1-2 years, they fold up, and all of that. So what should the government be doing differently?
I think our taxing system is relatively very, very crude. Yes, whereby you see people out running after, growing businesses. They are the governor of Cross River State has done well. However we look at it, that's why he's a man I love so much. I love him with all, because he's really brought us out of a seemingly mindset of a civil service state to an industrialized based state. People are now thinking of business. But beyond just doing that is the fact that our taxing system must be structured that you don't need to run around me for me to pay my tax. The government should have a system put in place that is digitalized and transparent enough to be able to get taxes for even small businesses without you running around them. So the environment, the taxing environment doesn't encourage young business to grow. Secondly, access to funds, whereby already you are running on an interest rate that is killing the business. You go to the bank, you borrow money, and then you are supposed to pay it within 1 year, highest 2 years, and you are running at interest rate of almost 22%, 19%, 17%, and they begin the process of deduction the moment you get it. Highest, they give you additional 1 month, and then they do it in such a way that it is so cruel, it's so barbaric. So the young person, knowing too well that he or she is mindful of living long, doesn't believe that he should access funds to weather the storm and to consolidate the business. So Nigeria should put in place a digitalized taxing system and also make cheap, I repeat, cheap funds available for the serious-minded young person that are interested in going into business. If we do this, our generation will be great, and I believe will be great.
These are very interesting times indeed to be a Nigerian. What's your message to Nigerians out there?
I think the message is simple, like I said to the youth, is to first and foremost understand that we are going through a trying time, and we might be having difficulties, we might be having so much negative things thrown at us, but we should believe in ourselves. We should believe in the country, we should believe in the leadership. The leadership have their own weaknesses, they have their own issues, and they are making mistakes, which is normal for governance. But at the end of the day, I think patriotism should be above selfish interests. That's my message for them.
Just before we round off, let's talk Cross River for a moment. The governor, Ben Ayade, has been doing a lot of things in the states, a lot of signature projects and all of that. But what's your position about the signature project of the government, the legacies?
Fantastic. You know, one of the things I keep telling people, and I will continue to say, Ben Ayade His Excellency Ben Ayade is a gift to the state. You know, what I mean by gift to the state, he's been able to change the mindset of the young person. They now believe in themselves. They now believe that anything is possible. I want to take it from that perspective. That belief is beyond money. That belief is beyond everything, because everything begins in the mind. He's giving us a different mindset by bringing young people into governance. So, talking about his industrialization programs and policies, they are fantastic. They are world class.
All right, so Engineer Bernard, let's stay with cultural politics for a moment. The governor has been heavily criticized for defecting to the APC. It has given its reasons, but then again, it has generated a lot of talking points. What's your position on that particular big decision by the government?
Superb move. Superb. It's like Messi in his prime and moving from Barcelona to Real Madrid.
Is this about 2023?
Yes, it's beyond 2023. It's for the next generation. Let me tell you something. With that movement, we now have what happened in 1999. The governor has been able to lay a new foundation for culture, because his movement is bringing in a lot of young leadership to bear. I give you an example. The governor made a statement, and it was in the public domain, that I am ready to build the next generation. So my movement is about the next generation. And that is a big plus. Because even the NSAS protest was so much in crucial. Because the young people are looking for a next generational leader. And he looked at the party, the PDP, as it is, and discovered that they did not believe in the next generation. So he decided to move to APC, which will give him opportunity to produce a leadership that the people will love. And that's why some of us are so happy. We are supporting him total. We are saying that apart from that, he also believes, I'm from the southern part of Russia, he also believes that power should return to the South by virtue of equity. Because the South having the next leadership will mean that we will go through the same process. Although other things that it has gone wrong. But yes, it has gone wrong, accepted. But which zone has waited for 16 years? Will it be fair? A man who has waited for you for 16 years, maybe for you to do a thing, and he believes that after 16 years he will take the next shot, and you tell him to wait again for additional maybe 16 years. This is why we're having the crisis in Nigeria. Let us not do things that at the end of the day that will be detrimental to the progress of our community. So the governor's movement is superb, it's wonderful, it's remarkable. In fact, at some point, I was thinking he was delaying too much. Because I believe that this movement has opened up the political space. And it has opened. I mean, some people might not be happy about it. It's natural. It's natural. Because it represents change. It represents solid foundation. When you are putting a solid foundation, you do a lot of work. And I bet you, because I know him to be a man of his word, because I know him to be a leader that loves the people, because I know him to believe in the young person, everything our beloved dear governor has said, he will do. He will do. And he will do. Those are my things.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Bernard, APC stalwart, entrepreneur, as well as the chairman of the Bernard Foundation. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And that's a good place to anchor conversation tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kelly Egiga. I'll see you again next time. Bye.